Okay, where we last left off, we have a button that works. Let's just review. Hit green flag, start, stop, and it changes the status up here. So we want to have another button now, and the next button needs to add these drawing guys, these guys who are going to draw squares. So let's go ahead and hit Control Shift and touch this guy. So Control Shift and then hit stop, and I'm going to hit duplicate. And all of the code is going to be on the next guy. But I don't want him to say stop. I want him to say more, and I also want him to do other things. So first thing I'm going to do is drag him over here. And then I'm going to start changing his costumes a little bit. So I'm going to look at his costumes. And instead of saying start, I'm going to change this costume. I think if I click here, yeah, if I click enough, I'll get in there. And I'm going to say more. Okay, so this is going to be my more guy. And I actually don't need another look for him. Just one look is fine. So let's take a look at what more is going to do. More is going to switch costume to start. Actually, I need to change his costume from start to more. Okay. And now I'm going to go over here, switch costume to more. And instead of saying set status to 0, I'm going to set something called a new variable, which is kind of make a clone. So I'm going to make some clones, my drawing clones. So my new variable, which again is going to be a global variable, is called make clone. And I try to keep spaces out of my variables, but I do first letter capitals. Okay, so this is for all sprites, make clone, and I'm going to set make clone to 0. I'm going to switch costume to more. If touching mouse pointer, set brightness to 50, otherwise to 0. If touching mouse pointer and mouse down, what I want to do is I want to say make clones. So I'm going to get rid of all this stuff. And I'm going to say, I'll use this. Set make clone to 1. And blink is good. I don't need to switch costume. And then wait until mouse down. All right, let's see if this works. So I've got make clone. Yeah, cool. And he turned make clone to 1. And he also fades in and out just like the start button. Okay, so now we just need to figure out what is going to happen when he makes clones. What are these clones? These are the guys who draw the squares. Or gals, if you prefer. So I'm going to make a new clone, and I'm just going to make a solid circle. I'm going to go into vector mode. I just think it's easier to use. And I'm going to have a filled circle. I'm going to choose some nice blue color because I like blue. I'm going to hit Shift to make a perfect circle as opposed to an oval. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key while I'm drawing this very small circle. And I'm going to find its center and put the center of it exactly where I think it should be. Good. And now I'm going to call that circle. That's my costume for him. And let's talk about what he's going to do, or she. First thing is that when you create a sprite, there's kind of the main sprite and the clones. All the work in this program is going to be done by clones, not by the main sprite. So when the green flag is clicked, I'm going to take my main guy and I'm going to hide him. Great. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm forever going to check that variable of make clone. Because remember, this guy, this button, set a variable make clone to 1. See how it's 1 here? So I'm going to see if make clone equals 1. And if make clone equals 1, then I'm going to go ahead and make a clone. But I better also change make clone to 0, because otherwise I'll just keep making clones. So I'm going to go ahead and create a clone of myself. And I'm going to change the variable set make clone to 0. So I'm no longer making clones. I'm just going to make one clone. The other thing I'm going to do for my program is I kind of want to keep count of how many clones I have, because that's something I'll use a little bit later. So I'm going to make a new variable called clone count. and this is for all sprites, because I'm just going to keep track of how many clones I have. Clone count. Oops. Clone count, like that. And when a new clone is created. Okay, so here we go. When I start as a clone, first thing I better do is I better make clone count go up by 1. So change clone count by 1, because there's one new clone that's been created. Next thing I want to do is I want to go to a random location on the screen. So we could do -240 to 240. That's X. If you look at the X down here, see how it goes from -240 to 240, and Y -180 to 180. But actually, for what I'm doing, because I have this idea that these things will die if they ever touch the edges, I don't want them to start all the way down here. I want them to start sort of in the middle. So I'm going to say, I'm going to create a block called go random, which just means find a random location. And go random is going to look like this. It's going to say set X and set Y. But I don't want it to be 0, 0. I want it to be, let's say, between -100 and 100. So a little box kind of in the middle. It's the Cartesian coordinates or whatever. Okay, see that stuff in math? It's actually helpful. All right, so 100 to 100. Okay, so when I get started as a clone, please go to the random location and go random. The other thing I want it to do is I want it to draw. So I'm going to ask it to draw something. So I'm going to create a function called draw, and draw. So this is what draw is going to do. Draw is going to put the pen down. Pen down. It's going to choose a random color. So set pen color to a random number, like, I don't know, 1 to 100. 100, okay. Set pen color. It's going to change the pen width, make it a little bit wider, because narrow pens are really skinny. So set pen size to 5. Okay. So, and then it's going to start drawing. Now, you may have noticed in my program that what was happening is it was going clockwise most of the time, drawing squares, but going clockwise, and occasionally it would go counterclockwise. All right, so I'm going to say, oh, I guess I need a variable. So here's a variable I'm going to make, and I need to make a variable that is a variable for just this sprite, because I'm going to do something with kind of a random number generator. How often should you turn left instead of right? So this is very important. The variable I'm going to make here is for this sprite only. So right turn, let's see. I'll just call it random number. Okay, random number for this sprite only. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set random number to a random number between 1 and 10. And now I'm going to take a look at something. If random number equals, and remember, this is a random number for just this one little sprite that was created. If random number equals 1, then I'm going to turn left. Oops, that's right. I'm going to turn right most of the time, but occasionally I'm going to turn left. And then I'm going to move 10 steps. So I will motion, move 10 steps. But you know, sometimes moving is a little bit fast and you want to slow down the moving, so you can actually do this to control that. I'm going to repeat 10 times, and I'm going to move 1 step. Okay. So, and when I start as a clone, I'm going to change clone count by 1. I'm going to go random, and then I'm going to forever draw. Forever draw. Now, we'll see a couple problems with this, I think, but let's go ahead and start this, and start, and then more. Okay, so one problem I see is it looks like it's drawing. I thought I only clicked on it once. Okay, couple things I noticed. One is that I can't see the little guys, little balls, because they are hidden and I never showed them. So I forgot to do that. So when I start as a clone, I need to say show. Okay, let's try again. Okay, next, it's not moving far enough. So instead of moving one step, maybe I need to have it move 10 steps. It's not quite drawing squares, is it? Oh, I know why. Because this repeat needs to be here, and all of this needs to be in there, I think. Does that work better? Start. No. Repeat 10 steps, move 10 steps, repeat. Oh, well, one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to change all of these things every time. I only want to do this once. So that will stop it doing the weird rainbow effect. Okay, so start, more. Okay, so the circles are really, really teeny weeny. What if I say 50 steps? Will that be better? Oh yeah, that's better. Okay, but it's awfully fast. I would kind of like it to move a little bit slower. And I probably want this. Let's try this approach here. Okay. So maybe I'm looking at these boxes here. They're just too big, right? So maybe 5. Oh, that looks better. That looks cooler and much more what I'm looking for. So I just was kind of experimenting until I got what I wanted. And if I hit more, I get another one. And if I hit more, I get another one. Okay. And for now, I can clear it like this. Let's go to looks and where's clear? Pen. Oh, it's in pen. Clear. Okay, there. So now this is kind of what I'm looking for. I can hit more and I can get more of these guys. So couple little house cleaning things. One is I want to be able to hide all these variables. So I'm going to go over to data and unclick all of these. All right. And I've got a pretty good working program. But a few things. One is I think that when you hit stop, everything should stop and all these guys should probably die. And also, do you notice how some of them get kind of stuck on the walls? Not sure I like that. Yeah, so what I want to do is I want to say that if they touch the wall, that they actually die. Okay, so let's talk about that. If touching wall, I'll put it here because this is where the movement's happening. So, control, if touching wall, if touching the edge, oh, I probably should use another else. If touching edge, then delete the clone, or basically kill myself. Delete the clone. Delete this clone. And I also need to decrease my clone count number. So remember I have this number here, which is clone count. So change clone count by -1. Otherwise, go ahead and make this move. All right, so now let's check it out. Let's see if this works a little bit better. And here we go. Let's see what happens when they touch the edge. Come on, baby, somebody touch the edge. Oh, come on. There, when they hit the edge, that guy deleted. Did you see that? That's exactly what I was looking for. Okay, so far, we're doing much better. We've got a cool program going here, but we're going to make some more improvements too.